Good morning. For today's lesson, we are going to look at the back view of the system unit. This is a review of what we did last 2 weeks. We want to go back again and remind ourselves what we did last 2 weeks. So we looked at the back view of the system unit. We said the system unit is one of the basic components of the computer system, or it's a component that comes with other components to form the computer system. We also said that the system unit is the main device which is turned on in the process of booting or turning on the computer. That's the first device you have to turn on before you turn on the monitor. So we are going to look at some of the things we can see at the back view of the system unit. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to be familiar with the back view of the system unit. You should be able to tell that this is the back view of the system unit, and also to mention some of the things we can see at the back of the system unit. Now, this is what we call a system unit. The other day we said we have two types of system unit. The one that stands vertical is what we call the tower. Then the one that lays flat, or we put flat on the tables, is what we call the desktop. So whenever you see a system unit standing like this, refer to as a tower. And the one that we put on top of tables is what we call desktop system unit. Now let's have a look at the back view of the system unit. At the back view of the system unit, we have almost all the ports at the back of the system unit. So at the back of the system unit, this is what we normally see for most desktop computers. We can see almost all these ports at the back of the system unit. So when you come here, this is what we call the serial port. The serial port. And that port is used to connect modem, not the USB modem, but the other modems. Then when you come here, we have the para port. The para port is also used in connecting of printers, or we can connect printer cables to the para port as a peripheral device to work together with the computer. Now when you come here, we have the audio port, or the jack port, and these ports are being used to connect to speakers and microphones. And when you come here, we have what we call the VGA port, or the video graphics array port. This is where we connect the monitor cable to, or the VGA cable to. Then we have another port over here. We'll look at that one to its name. Then we have here the USB port. The USB port, which can be used to connect to modem, pen drives, and other peripheral devices like the printer, the scanner, and so on. Now this side we have the network port. It's mostly used to connect network cables. Then when we come here, we have the PS2 port. That's the personal system port. Each of them has its own function. One is used to connect to the mouse, that's the PS2 mouse, and the other one is used to connect to PS2 keyboard. So all these are ports that we can see at the back view of the system unit. At the front view too, we have some ports over there, but it does not have all these ports at the front view. At the front view, at times we may see the audio port or the jack port, then only the USB port. We cannot have the power port, the serial port, the VGA port, and the other ports at the front view of the system unit. So if you want to locate this port, unless you turn the computer system unit and look at the back before you can see all these ports on the system unit. Now let's have a look. This is the back. The system unit has been turned, and this is the back view of the system unit. So let's look at what we can see at the back view of the system unit. We have already talked about the ports. That's what we have over here. That's what we saw in our previous picture. We saw all these ports, and that's what we have at this part. So we will not talk about this again. We will not talk about what we have over here. Now let's look at the other ones. We can also see a fan. That's the fan inside the system unit. We can see the fan at the back of the system unit. We can also see the power supply unit. The power supply unit, and we have the power port over here where we connect the power supply cable. Then when we come here, we have the expansion slot. This slot shows all connected cards. That's the VGA card, the sound card, and TV cards. When they are being connected, this is where you will see their ports in order to connect any other device to. So we have the expansion slot over here. We have this one to be the Ethernet or the network port. We talked about that one already. We have the fan, the power supply, the PS2 port, the serial port, the power port, the DSAP port, that's the VGA port. Then we have the USB port, the audio port. So all these are the things that we can see at the back view of the system unit. So you should be familiar with them. If you are asked to mention any of them, you should be able to mention at least 5 of them. The power supply unit, the exhaust fan or the fan, the Ethernet port or the network port, the expansion slot, the audio port or the jack port, the USB port, the VGA port or the DSAP port. We have the power port, the serial port, then the PS2 port. So all these are the things we can see at the back of the system unit. Make sure you study them well and know their names. So what we mentioned earlier on are the ones we have listed over here. We made mention of PS2 port. That's the personal system 2 port. That's the full meaning of PS2. Personal system 2. We have the power supply unit. That's the PSU. We have the USB port. That is universal serial port or the universal serial bus port. We have the power port, the serial port, the Ethernet port or the network port. We also have the audio port or the jacks. Then we have the fan and the expansion slot. We'll end our lesson here and continue next week, Monday. Bye.